Yo, what up, what up, what up, what up? Where my panel members at?
Yo,
what up, Brian?
what's going on, everybody? Good evening.
Happy
Good day.
Tuesday evening.
Good day in America. It's a good day. Great day. Great day. Happy to be here.
Yeah, good to have you, man. What up, Bearded Dragon?
Woody.
Oh, snap, we got B Woody.
Brandon, what's going on? Pete, what's up, man?
Tell you, man, I got the munchies.
Damn.
I tell you, man, Pete, the smartest man in the room.
Straight up. I know this is usually Pete's dinner time, so Pete, if you want to step away and get some good calories in your life, by all means, man.
Yeah, I put the rice on 5 minutes ago, so.
Yeah, just shoot me a little private message in the private chat to let me know that you stepped away in case we start doing the round robin. You know?
Yeah, man. Let me get a Pete. Let me get a plate, Pete. I'm good for it, man. You know I'm good for it.
Pete's probably fixing something fancy, bro. He's more on that French tip, the French cuisine. You know.
All right, nothing wrong with that.
This is more, rice and some sesame oil type stuff.
Okay.
Kind of boring tonight.
It's all right. It's Tuesday. It's all right. It's all right.
All right, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and kill the music so we can start the show. Okay, Bryant, Pete, Brandon, you're kind of starting things out here with me today. Just as a background check for just a little bit of inventory. Did you watch any of today's videos from the channel?
I did.
Okay. B?
I'm going to be honest with you. I did, and I was on meets with Carlos and them earlier today all day at the
No, it's okay. I just want to know so like that way we can cover everything from square one, or if we could just jump in. So
I mean, I kind of have an idea of what already happened today with as far as the earnings go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did that include the AT&T sackings? I'm trying to remember.
We definitely covered that on the last show.
Yeah.
We're keeping track. We got a counter, Pete. We got a counter that keeps tally of everything.
Yeah.
You know how they say, like, an angel gets its wings every time, blah, blah, blah? Well, in this case, an angel gets stripped of its wings every time. There's a 5,000 person layoff at AT&T. Yeah, they call that surplusing, from what I understand.
How's that surplusing?
I don't know, dude. You can, in this day and age, you can literally redefine anything you want. You just use a word and then you describe it how you want, and that becomes the truth, in your world, I guess.
They should just pass it by this organization in Oxford, England, called the Institute of Standards and Measures. They were the ones who proposed the Oxford English Dictionary many centuries ago.
Needs an update.
Yeah.
Hey, just thought I'd throw this out there. If anybody is looking to support the SMT tonight, we focus on the real SMT Buy Me a Coffee link. If you guys want to keep the SMT caffeinated and motivated, that's a great way to do it. There's other ways to support as well, but that's one we've been focusing on. Also, if you're looking for a really good deal on wireless service, a company that we stand behind and stand next to and support as a partner is Mint Mobile. They just raised all of the gig allotments on all their plans, and they did not change pricing at all. So they left pricing untouched. They're giving customers more data. So I'm totally with that. That's something that's hard to come by in today's economics and business operations. So we're happy to be partnering with a company like this. Okay, so use the partner link that's in the description. You'll save money. You'll also be helping out the channel. It's crazy that Mint Mobile's been able to pull this off. Love it. All right, let's jump into the first story. This one's actually on some tech, more so a company than tech, I guess. But yeah, the company's involved too. All right, so this one is actually about satellite connectivity. And I think the bigger story about this one is the fact that it's not a special phone. It's a normal cellular smartphone that was able to connect to satellite. So let's go through the deets. Telecompetitors got the story. It was just dropped today from Joan Engebretson. Ugh, I'm sorry. A whole new market. AT&T demos satellite connectivity with an unmodified cell phone. All right, so AT&T declared a successful demonstrated cell phone voice call via satellite using unmodified cell phone. The accomplishment that this company has achieved first. Demo relies on low orbit or LEO satellites operated by the company AST. The technology expected to support data connectivity as well. So hopefully we get like data session news very soon. All right, so this is going to be an integration of wireless network, filling in gaps in areas with no coverage that might be so remote terrestrial grids just don't cover it. So whether it's LTE or 5G, if it's not enough, satellites got your back. Enhanced connectivity for first responders, businesses, consumers alike, work, play, travel, no special equipment. Your smartphone is all you need. They were using the Samsung Galaxy S22 smartphones, and it was from Texas to Rakuten in Japan. AST is partially owned by Rakuten and by Vodafone. Engineers of both the companies and AT&T were involved in the test calls. American Tower, another part owner in these operations. Okay, so I think the fact that this was done over an Android, over a Galaxy, that's great. We're probably going to want to start seeing some iPhone action here. We're probably going to have to start seeing some spectrum get allocated and shared with these sat operators, so they've got something to deploy from their, LEO cell towers, right? Because that's basically what it is. But AST seems to be leading the way. They're pretty much the first name to get this ready for commercial deployment on commercial networks like AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile. T-Mobile has the partnership with SpaceX. I think Verizon's is with Quipper, whatever that Amazon company is. I don't even know if that's the right way to say it.
Kepler?
I don't know if this is, what is it, Pete?
Was it Project Kepler? Like the telescope?
I don't think there's an L in it. But anyways, I don't know how they're going to sell this, if it's just going to be included in premium plans or if it's going to be an add-on to any type of plan. I have no idea. We have no clue what they're going to do with this, folks. But this is proof of concept. This is delivering on the promises that AST and AT&T have indicated they were going to do. So that's great. All right, Pete, what's your take, man? How do you see it? You don't care? Is it early? Want something more? What you got?
First off, wondering why that says Apple. This was done on a Samsung, no? But secondly, of course it's an unmodified cell phone. As long as you can beam the frequency to the satellite and then bounce it in another one, there's no restriction to using band 12. Just sound kind of cruddy. So glad they're using LEOs to expand coverage. Maybe in 5 years we'll get rid of my dead zones.
We know that they got them there, Pete. All right, Brandon, jump in. Brandon, if you're there, you can unmute yourself. All right, we'll see if we can get Brandon back. Let's get Brian up in here.
Yeah, man, I agree with everything Pete said. I mean, definitely a good thing for everybody to have greater connectivity and greater coverage. It just takes away another pain point that people have had with wireless services. So it's good. Good for everybody. Good for everybody.
I like the fact that they're going to shore up the cell phone coverage issues potentially. Once in a while you'll be out in the middle of the boonies. You might be on a camping trip and you might need to make a call or receive a call. Might not have coverage. There might not be a cell tower for 10 miles or something, and you can't really get a cell signal. Or like legit driving through a mountain, right? And you want to keep the music playing, right? I can see that being kind of like new. And that comes with like low bandwidth requirement apps and stuff like that. So calling and texting, not really an issue. Maybe
Hold up,
some
Sneed.
simple data demand stuff, Pete.
People are not using 1 tera SSD modified iPods for music anymore.
I don't think so.
I must be old.
Oh man, it's been a while since I even thought about an iPod, man. Remember when they changed the game with 128 gigs?
Yeah, now I throw in a 2 tera SSD. Runs so much faster. Less MP3 skipping.
Yeah, so this is good. I think the next announcements we see, it'll be coming from like Verizon and T-Mobile. They'll follow suit. They'll get something proof of concept, and then we'll kind of see how it turns out. The data sessions I think are more important. I think people want the confidence that they can stream while connecting on satellite. I don't know what the expectation would be. Calling and texting seems a little bit more modest and more doable. The bandwidth demand probably goes up exponentially if there's going to be any type of major data transmission, like even a video call, which might require 2 megs per second. That might be pretty tough to do, especially if latency is going to be an issue.
That's the reason why I would temper my expectations. If I was an MNO, I would temper my expectations on people streaming, at least initially. I think this will be something that's best use case would be for voice calls. I understand people, don't want to have, their data lives and everything interrupted, but all right, they'll be all right, because at the end of the day, that latency is going to be very tough to overcome. I mean, you can't really out engineer physics. I mean, you can try, but there's only so much you can do. Even the LEOs are still hundreds of feet in the air, or hundreds of
The
miles
trouble is
in the
going to
air.
be the consumer handheld. It's not even going to be so much the satellite cellular.
Exactly, it's the uplink.
How big can you receive? It's going to be the hardware of the phone, and these phones want to stay thin and small.
Yep, it's the uplink, and even if the phones got bigger, you can't transmit but so much because of the safety of the consumer, the safety of the user. So I mean, it's just hard to out engineer physics when you're talking about hundreds of miles in the air is where your transmission is originating from. As far as downlink and then uplink, that's a long way to go. So for me personally, I don't claim to be a super expert or anything like that, but this would seem to be something just to fill in coverage gaps for voice calls, text messages, maybe some very light data sessions, but I wouldn't expect people to be able to do video calls or stream or anything like that. I don't think it would be best suited for that purpose, at least not initially.
Okay. Sounds good. B, you want to chime in?
I feel that in the next 10 to 12 years that will become the new normal. Slowly, but obviously like it's gonna take a lot of time, and they're obviously gonna have to do a lot of tests because like the demands, the way how people use the internet and communicate it's just really, really fast, and it doesn't really go well with satellite right now. But like I said, maybe the next 10 to 12 years.
All right, good stuff, B.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the next story. All right, there we go. All right, we'll start with Bryant. One word, Bryant. Describe the Verizon Q1 2023. One word.
Encouraging.
Okay. Brandon, can you do it in one word? Verizon's Q1 earnings.
Interesting.
Ooh, okay. A little bit open-ended. Bearded Dragon.
These things happen.
with a phrase. He's like, the hell with this one word nonsense. Can't do it. I've been blessed with vocabulary acquisition. All right, we're doing this.
Yep.
All right. I'm gonna go mixed. Yeah, I'm gonna go mixed. That's my word for this. Okay.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm gonna go mixed. I want to keep the same energy that I had for my video. I took in all the data points. I took in all of the numbers and metrics, and I feel like mixed is the proper term. I like interesting from B because that's going to leave a lot for him to explain. And then encouraging, I think, is also a good one for Brian, too. So let me give some of the numbers from the results here. All right, Verizon Q1 2023 showed pretty weak results on the consumer postpaid wireless side. All right, so there were losses of minus 263,000. The business side carried the mail again, reducing those net losses by adding 136,000 with the business segment. In total, the connections came in at minus 127,000. Postpaid churn from a total postpaid churn was 1.15%. The total prepaid churn, I think, was at 4.3%, which is kind of high. Usually Verizon hangs out in the threes, mid threes. Prepaid had minus 351,000. That's double the losses year over year. The prepaid churn is elevated by about 0.6% year over year. Track phone specifically had minus 800,000 since they've been acquired. All right, so that's concerning. 5G home and 5G business, the fixed wireless access, continues to be the shining star. They were approaching 400,000 net adds. It was like 393,000. They now are nearing 1.9 million fixed wireless subscribers. On the business side, they added 137,000. So business customers are even looking to Verizon for their broadband solutions over their mobile network. It looks like the rural build-out is on deck. The suburban approach is on deck, utilizing C-band to expand on the service and get more growth. Fios had some growth. I know Dennis won't like to know this, but they added 67,000 Fios customers. 63,000 were residential. So it looks like the business fiber is kind of slow. All right, so that's why I said mixed. The postpaid consumer branded side continues to be the weakness of the company, to the dismay of many of us, I think. The business side continues to do well, at least well enough. Right? It's not a blowout quarter, but they continue to have gains. Postpaid churn slightly elevated, nothing crazy. In fact, the wireless phone, the postpaid phone churn was pretty low. It was like 0.84. That might end up being industry best. It might. I think AT&T came in at like 0.9 or something, 0.94. Right? Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. Sometimes I can mess this up. I'm not perfect. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of sick and tired of people accusing me of thinking I'm perfect. That is not the case. Sometimes I misspeak and I make mistakes. So correct me if I am wrong. Let's see here. I think there's a couple things that are industry restrictive. When we look at Verizon for a potential turnaround in wireless, the consumer side, something that I guess we can kind of talk about some of those details, but to kind of round this out, CapEx is guided for 18 to 19 billion the rest of the year. So that would be 6 billion this quarter. So that means they probably have about 13 billion left in run room for their CapEx. So more spending on the network. I don't know, man. Bryant, we'll start with you. Take it all in, spit it all out.
Like I said, I was encouraged. I know that people were predicting 200,000 plus phone net losses. 127, I think, is more reasonable and more expected. But what I really point to is the total retail postpaid net additions was well over 600,000. So that, to me, that shows growth. I understand you have phones and everything. That's kind of the baseline of profitability as far as any wireless MNO is concerned, or any MNO is concerned. It makes sense. But I was encouraged to see growth, especially in the first quarter, being the way that it was. As far as revenue is concerned, I understand there was a slight dip, but according to what Verizon reported, much of that dip in revenue was due to promotional spend, which Verizon a lot of time catches a lot of flack for not doing enough of. But that's the reason why, because growth is expensive. And at the end of the day, businesses are they're open for business. They want to make money. So I can't necessarily get mad at Verizon for trying to chase unprofitable or not trying to chase unprofitable growth. They're trying to make money. It makes sense, especially while their CapEx is extremely elevated and has been for quite some time. It makes sense to finish out the builds that they have before they start really, really doing any heavy promotional spend, if at all. I'm also encouraged by their broadband production. I think the rumors of any sort of decrease in momentum from a fixed wireless access standpoint, those rumors are unfounded. There's really no data to support that. Every time the analysts and the quote unquote experts keep talking about this, both T-Mobile and Verizon prove them wrong. So in the first quarter, for you to, report as a company that you've done more total broadband ads than you've done in a decade, that speaks to kind of giving a middle finger to all the people who are saying the momentum is decreasing with fixed wireless access. That is a farce. It's not true. Clearly. Same thing with the Fios brand. The Fios numbers are up. They did, 67,000, I believe. That's an increase year over year as well. They're hitting on all cylinders in that regard, creating new relationships with customers. That can only be good for them in the future. I also point to the fact that the company was able to do this despite still having a large contingent of the country to still cover with their C-band. They've only announced 200 million pops. There's 340 million people in this country. So there's still another 140 million people who don't even have access to the frequency that they're using to be able to get fixed wireless access to the consumer, to the business. So, it makes a lot of sense to think that momentum probably isn't going to slow as far as that product is concerned. That being said, I do acknowledge that there's probably there's obvious areas of opportunity for Verizon to be able to improve, particularly related to customer experience. So I'm sure they're doing what they got to do to try to address that, but there's clearly a lot to play with from a positive standpoint. And this quarter doesn't seem to be as bad as people thought. The rumors of the demise, they're exaggerated. And I think that showed in the numbers as far as what the street responded. Verizon's stock is up on a day where the stock market was down. Verizon was up. So I think there's something to be said for that. When you compare Verizon's results to AT&T's, there's something to be said for profitability. AT&T, you had $1 billion in free cash flow. They missed the mark on that, and they lost 11%. Verizon had year over year, I think they had an improvement of $2.3 billion in free cash flow. That's pretty solid. And I think the market is rewarding them for being good financial stewards and not trying to make everything free. At the end of the day, these bills are expensive, and Verizon wants to be paid for their work. Imagine that, right? So I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged.
All right, let me get the bearded dragon in this one.
It's worth looking forward to. I was disappointed that they're still running, using business to subsidize their lingering consumer account. So that's something, but at least their prepaid agreements and their business can keep them afloat when the consumers aren't happy with the pricing, or there's band 13 and 10 meg backhaul sites. I do like that their wireless home internet and their Fios reading into Comcast. These guys need competition, and Heck, even in some places where Verizon isn't the best or offer the service per se, they're still kicking cable's ass in upload. So just wish the stock went up higher, but
Good for a down day. You know, the market was down like 2% in the S&P or some 1.5%. So Verizon being up 22 basis points, I think is fair.
So I want to respond to Tech Guy 32. Good evening, man. What's going on? As far as the comment about Verizon having net losses, I did acknowledge that, and so did Sneed. And you're right. They had net losses in postpaid phone, but the retail postpaid net additions was 633,000. That's what Verizon reported. I didn't make the number up. So just go to their website and it'll tell you the same thing I just read, because I'm reading it verbatim. So I didn't make that number up. It's what the company reported. It is what it is. Second thing that you were talking about, you're saying basically hiding losses with combining business. You can't hide losses. Losses are losses and gains are gains. So a phone that's on a business account that's added is an ad for the business. It's an ad for the company. It would be the same if it was consumer. If Verizon only sold to consumers, then we would have another conversation. But it's consumer and it's business. It's FiOS, all these things, they all count. It's all money. So I understand and I acknowledge that there's obvious pressure as far as phones are concerned. They lost 127,000 phones. I get all that. I understand. But that doesn't, you can't just discount one side of the business just because it doesn't fit whatever narrative is out there. The truth is they had 633,000 postpaid retail net additions. That's just the numbers. I didn't make it up. So
Yep, I mean, they just tallied up all the retail operations. So, yeah. B, let me get you in here.
Okay, so I said interesting earlier, and the reason why I said interesting earlier is because the FiOS internet, like, to me, 66,000 is not really a lot of customers, but at the same time, they're only focusing on the Northeast and stuff like that. But the key to it all is that they're gaining the amount of subscribers that Comcast used to announce in their earnings call for broadband subscribers. Because what did Verizon report? Almost 400,000
Fixed
5G home
wireless
internet
access.
customers.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and not only that, but they did gain a good amount of customers on the business side. Not only that, but a lot of people always say that Verizon loses a lot of customers. I mean, is losing a lot of customers, but at the same time, Verizon is still getting their money from Comcast and Spectrum, and then even Cox now. So they're floating around.
You know what I've always described Verizon as?
Mm.
Verizon is there when you open the door. When you need a solution, when you need an option, when you need a service,
I mean,
whether
they're
you're a business, whether you're broadband, whatever you are, Verizon wants to be at the door when you knock on it. They want to open the door and be there ready to catch your business.
right. And I mean, they want you to, but at the same time, sometimes they don't want their name to be on, like, on the cheap end, so they have all these MVNOs and sometimes even prepaid, which I'm surprised they didn't do that well in prepaid, considering that Visible is probably the cheapest you can get when it comes to prepaid.
well, I think Verizon's done a good job of explaining why that is. I mean,
Yeah,
they're trying to
right.
migrate a very big contingent of their prepaid base that they acquired from TracFone off of AT&T's network and off of T-Mobile's. So in the process of doing that, you're going to have some headwinds as far as losing some customers who may not want to capitulate. That's fine. Um, to each his own. There's nothing wrong with that. But until that migration is done, that's kind of where you're going to be. I don't know, just speculating, but that migration is probably going to be done sometime this year. I don't imagine they'll have those headwinds to the same degree in 2024. So if that's the case, I expect to see them being able to compete at scale in the prepaid business. We're not talking about gaining 1 million customers, but if they're gaining 10, 20, 25,000 in a quarter, I think that's healthy enough for what Verizon wants to do. They bought TracFone as a defensive play. They didn't buy it to
They're not
be
defending,
offensive. Well, they're not
but they're
defending
not
right now.
defending.
You're right. They're not defending right now. And I mean, it's because of, that migration. So we'll see what happens as the year continues. Hopefully things improve, for that company, or, we'll see what happens. But, at the end of the day, I mean, if you look at their price points and everything like that, they're comparably priced with the other prepaid carriers and stuff and the other prepaid brands out there. I'm sure once they get everything squared away with the network side of the business, they'll be fine. So, but I get it.
Right.
Losing
So
those. I'm sorry, Steve. Losing those customers and everything. It's not adding money, but I would challenge anybody to look at the financials for any MNO in this country and tell me which one is gaining customers and also improving profitability. Nobody is. You had AT&T, which is just as fast as Verizon is. They gained way more
okay,
customers than Verizon did,
I'd
but
like to
they
attack
weren't
that.
profitable. Okay, let's talk
I'd
about
like to attack that. So Verizon's free cash flow has been flat to shrinking in the recent history.
it. Agreed.
It's not just this quarter. I don't want to highlight this quarter as the only thing. I want to talk about several quarters. Meanwhile, the new T-Mobile company is set to accelerate free cash flows. AT&T is going to accelerate them the rest of the year. So we're going to monitor Verizon to see if that's also the case for them. We're watching. We'll see
Agreed.
if they accelerate free cash flow.
So
They're at like 2.3 billion free cash flow this quarter. So I better see some equivalent of the rest of the way, around 13 or 14 billion in free cash flow. That would be an average of 4 to 4.5 billion in free cash flow each quarter the rest of the way. Go ahead, Pete.
Do you think AT&T and Verizon are going to implement a free cash flow fee on legacy plans to stack on the dividend recovery fee you're getting already for your legacy?
Look, I'm looking at it like this, right? The reason I wanted to talk about the free cash flow and I want to talk about the revenue is because that's what Hans himself said he wants to be evaluated upon.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, although to your point, Sneed, there have been, decreases in what Verizon has been able to earn versus what they did previously, they're still leading the industry in profitability. Their EBITDA numbers are better than everybody's.
So if there's
So,
industry slowdown, then we can evaluate Verizon accordingly. I'm going to wait and see. I can tell you right now with 100% certainty, T-Mobile is going to paint a picture of not slowing down. I don't know how they're going to do it. You know how they do it, but I think they're going to indicate that the industry is not slowing down. They're going to say the other guys are slowing down. We're not.
well, I mean, they can say whatever they want, but the numbers are what they are, and they're the least profitable of all three carriers, and that's been for several years now. So, I mean, say what you want, but the numbers are what they are. Even throughout Verizon's slowdown in profitability, it's still industry leading by billions. AT&T gained all the customers that they did in Q1, and they only were able to post free cash flow of $1 billion. Verizon lost 127,000 phone customers and still grew profitability by over 2 billion from what AT&T was able to post. That's probably going to be an industry leading cash flow number for this quarter. So based on what Hans has said to the street and what he said to the market, Verizon is delivering on that. They're the most profitable of all of the major network operators in America. So although there's been a decrease, it's still better than everybody else. So he's delivering on that particular metric. I mean, I don't see any problem there. And I mean, the street rewarded them today. Their stock prices are up despite the losses, which is not, that's not news. I mean, people knew Verizon was going to struggle a little bit this quarter. They struggled every first quarter, but their numbers that they posted today were better than the numbers that they reported in Q1 2022. So there is improvement year over year, excuse me, from what Verizon's been doing. There has been improvement. And what they've remained as is the most profitable in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, like the only way, like in my eyes, that Verizon's gonna maintain or improve their, free cash flow is if they continue to roll out a C-band. The C-band is the piggy bank. The C-band is what they spent the most money on. The C-band is what they're rolling out the fastest. The C-band is what that's going to give them more customers and drive customer growth. And I think that's going to, and again, I stated like the last podcast, like if they can get some, device promotions that are maybe equivalent to T-Mobile, maybe better, then they can definitely maintain their free cash flow.
Well, they're already comparable to T-Mobile from a promotional standpoint. Everybody's pretty much doing the same $800 off the cost of a phone with the trade-in. So I mean, they're already comparable in that space. And based on
I think they could do better.
Well, I'm sure they could, but at what cost? So the reason that Verizon cited for their reduction in revenue was promotional spend. So they've been willing to sacrifice revenue accretion for promotional spend, which is what many consumers have asked for. But how much are you going to do that to gain additional customers, which are going to be expected to get a certain level of service with less money? That's not sustainable. But if your profitability levels continue to be industry leading, you can sustain the level of performance in the network because the money is there. I think that the glass is half full for Verizon, and the reason why I feel that way is because they did what they did in the home broadband space, and they're not even finished with their build yet. So 140 million people still don't have access to C-band, but they added 400,000 plus people to their network before they even finished their build in the first quarter, which is traditionally the slowest quarter of the year, regardless of the industry. So I'm just trying to understand why the demise of Verizon seems to get so many clicks and people believe that the sky is falling. That's not what was reported today. What was reported today was improvements year over year and a new growth engine, new customers that Verizon is able to market themselves to because they've never had a broadband product available nationwide. They're building that now, and that's just one use case. So I mean, I see the glass is half full. I'm encouraged by what I saw, and apparently so is Wall Street. So I don't think I'm by myself tonight.
No, I think they can knock it out of the park. If they, have the full access to the C-band in many markets and stuff like that, I think their time is due. I really do.
Yeah, I'll tell you, free phones, to Tech Guy's point, free phones does not fix their overpriced plans. Well, if they're overpriced, then so is T-Mobile, because T-Mobile effectively said to America, we believe our product is as good as Verizon's. That's why we're going to price ourselves at the same level as Verizon. So if Verizon really overpriced? If T-Mobile, which has traditionally been the least expensive of the three, is now selling their premium product at the same price, they are not overpriced. They are priced exactly where they should be. In fact, maybe they should increase prices just because of that, because everybody knows Verizon's network, when they finish their bill, is going to be better than T-Mobile's. So it's not overpriced if T-Mobile is selling themselves at the same exact cost.
You think they should increase prices?
Yeah, that's an outdated narrative now, because T-Mobile is the same $90 as Verizon is, and T-Mobile doesn't offer mix and match. Verizon does. So Verizon is not overpriced. That is an outdated narrative now. It's not updated.
Right.
Maybe
I remember like, the huge stark difference was when like Sprint was around and you would have phone plans that were like $30 to $40 cheaper,
Well, I mean, tech guy, I understand. You're right. Verizon's losing customers. I get it, but they're maintaining their leadership and profitability, and they're not even finished their build. So everybody else is gaining customers and losing profitability, and Verizon's doing the opposite. But they're gaining customers in the one use case that 5G really has right now, and that's home broadband.
So there's a couple things going on here. First of all, is the perception that people are leaving Verizon for the network or because of the network. That's untrue.
Agreed.
Because their
Agree. Yeah.
customers are going to cable, which is Verizon. So we've got to make sure that we wrap our mind around that, folks. For those of you saying a majority of customers that leave Verizon are leaving, they're going to cable, that means they're staying on the Verizon network. Now, those customers are leaving for price. Those customers, right? But they're still staying on Verizon. So that's a catch for Verizon. Do I wish Verizon was more capable of supporting their branded customers? I think that's more what Verizon needs to focus on, is getting
Exactly.
customers back from cable, because the experience will be better. The network access will be better. Bundling with fixed wireless access presents them a new value. I feel like there's small little opportunities that Verizon can position themselves for in the future, but they have to remain in the conversation. By having horrible customer care, poor retail experiences, they take themselves out of the possibility. They have
Yep.
to
And
put
that's
themselves back in the conversation.
Yep. That's
You know,
what Verizon needs to
and
focus
that's
on.
things that they can address. That's not out of the realm of possibility as a repair or a fix.
Yep.
Now, if I had to, in total, kind of take one statement or one paragraph, how the quarter went for Verizon. Broadband is fantastic. They are overachieving, and they are exceeding expectation. Fixed wireless access is a smash. They're growing. They're making money on it. It's a positive. Fios is doing just fine. All right, maybe the ARPU is down slightly or something like that. Maybe they had to be more competitive this quarter. So be it. Right, sell the Fios. Wireless, while they are disciplined, they are flawed. They are disciplined, but they are flawed. I think that's my takeaway there. And then from prepaid, I think it can only be described as a train wreck. Now, May 15th is supposed to be some big day for Verizon. Is it Hans Day or is it Sampath Day? I don't know. But I will tell you guys that today during the webcast call, Sampath's name was mentioned 7 times or something. It was mentioned by the CFO that's exiting. It was mentioned by the CEO, Hans. It was mentioned multiple times. He wasn't there. He was probably addressing business stuff within the company. You can't have all your people at the same place at the same time, right? So
I think Sampath would make a great CEO. I think that'd be nice.
all right, now they got the event coming up, this announcement on May 15th. Is it Hans Day or Sampath Day? Or
I hope
neither?
it's
What the hell
Sampath
are they
Day.
going to do?
Well, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Hans is the CEO. He's going to speak, but Sampath, that's probably going to be his coming out party, as it should be. If I'm a good leader and I just hired somebody 45 days and they're 45 days into their new role, I'm probably not going to feed them to the wolves, i.e., investors. I'm probably going to shield them from that. So, with that being said, that's probably what happened today. But giving them a little bit more time, that particular person, i.e., May 15th, allows them to at least have closer to a full quarter to be able to really understand what it is that's currently working and not working in the space that they're in, and then be able to implement a strategy only makes sense and only sets that person up for success. And that seems like what happened today. And so I think that's just good leadership. However, to your point, Sneed, May 15th probably is Sampath's coming out day, his opportunity to address the market. And I'm sure he'll do just fine. He seems to be a smart guy. I'm sure he'll do fine. At the end of the day, I believe he's being tasked with fixing exactly what Sneed talked about, the customer experience, because that seems to be the biggest Achilles heel that Verizon has with their customer base. Most customers who are leaving, they're not necessarily leaving just for MVNOs. When people are shopping around, T-Mobile has talked about this before. They're new customers. They're taking Magenta MAX. So if they were leaving because of price, why would they go to the cheapest carrier and get the most expensive plan, which only happens to have been $5 difference between what Verizon's most expensive plan was? It's not a price thing. It likely is a customer experience type of situation. If he can just fix that alone, get it to be among the industry average, I think that speaks volumes to Verizon's ability to be able to retain their customers. And they've already improved even that. I think wireless retail postpaid churn was like 0.84. They're not bleeding customers to the degree that people would have you believe. That's just not in the data. I mean, they gained 600,000 plus total connections. They lost 127,000 total phones. That's true, but you're still talking about 142 million connections reported today. That's industry leading by a lot. So I think the glass is half full. They haven't even finished their network build. They crushed home broadband. They've got things to fix, like Sneed said, customer experience, prepaid, of course, obviously postpaid phones and whatnot. But there's a pathway to doing that, which is number one, increasing the customer experience, finishing the migration on the prepaid side from a network standpoint, continuing to hit on all cylinders as far as broadband is concerned, and continuing to kick butt as far as rolling out C-band, rolling out fiber to the prim on the file side of the house. Like, guys, the glass is half full. And I'm sorry to bust anybody's bubble, but I mean, again, their shares went up today. It didn't go down.
All right, let me do some shout outs real quick. Alex, appreciate the super chat. He loves Visible Plus. That's probably the best way to get premium access on the Verizon network, I would say. And then also big shout out to Southwest Ohio Speed Testing. He sent over a few coffees, man. Appreciate you. Thank you, man. And I know you're a channel member and you support us in a big way. So thank you to everybody, all my patrons, all my YouTube members, everybody who's supported with coffee or any type of other supports. Thank you. Yeah, we shall see what happens on May 15th. We'll look for that turnaround. I'm looking for progress through the rest of the year. You know, I don't expect buses, trains, you know, limousines, however you want to make the analogy. I don't expect large vehicles and transport to be turned around quickly. It takes a little bit of time. But as long as it happens, and you've heard me say this before, Bryant, you fix one thing, you just made the company that much better. And then once you fix that one thing, you get to the next thing, right? You build houses brick by brick, right? It's just the principle. It's just scaffolding and foundations, you know, make for strong and high integrity based buildings, you know. So yeah, take care of business. They got an opportunity. You know, they do have one hell of a network build going on, and they're spending tons of money. I do have one fear though. You know, I've talked about this a couple of times. I think the inability to properly compete with postpaid branded hurts the fixed wireless subscriber base. I think, I don't have data to prove this, but I think that whatever happens on the postpaid side with consumer branded has probably hurt them to a small percentage. I don't know, you know, and maybe it's not really small. I'm estimating at least 10%. They could have more subscribers every quarter with fixed wireless access if they had a better go-to branding for the postpaid side, because they would have more customers approaching that product. You add 400,000 fixed wireless access customers in one quarter, and your wireless business, retail-wise, sucks. So what if your wireless business was better? Are we talking about a 450,000 net add quarter for fixed wireless? Are we talking about a 500,000 net add fixed wireless quarter? They're at 1.9 million postpaid, or excuse me, 1.9 million fixed wireless access customers right now. Could they be at 2.5 million if they were better suited for competitive attraction within the marketplace on their postpaid consumer side? I'm
Absolutely.
serious. I really
Absolutely.
believe they would have more customers. So,
yeah, you're right.
So, I think it's important that they explore that, because here's my math on this, right? Less premium customers are unattractive to Verizon. But then they make a plan like Welcome Unlimited to try to attract or catch the less premium customer, which is counterproductive to what they've been saying.
Not
It's mixed
necessarily.
messaging. It's mixed
Not, nec-
messaging. Now
not,
listen,
not necessarily.
hold on. I agree they needed the Welcome Unlimited to exist. I'm not saying that it's saving anything, but just having it there means they might keep some from going elsewhere. More premium branded customers and some less profitable customers is better than less premium customers and more less profitable MVNO. It's just math.
I don't disagree, and I think I would say Hans probably agreed, and that's why Welcome Unlimited was put in place. And as soon as it was going into the third, at the end of the third quarter, going into the fourth, you saw the business start to rebound from a terrible second quarter last year. So I mean, I agree with you, Sneed, and it's the same thing with customer care. If customer care had improved, 400,000 could have been 550,000 this quarter. You're absolutely right. I think that's what Sampath is being charged with trying to fix. And of course, he needs longer than 45 days to get that done. But the good news for Verizon is that despite, to Tech Guy 32's point, despite 3/4 of, phone losses or whatever the case may be, they were still the most profitable company in the industry by far, and still have the most customers in the industry by far. And that's under Hans' leadership. So I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying Verizon's perfect. Sneed's absolutely right. They obviously have areas of opportunity. You don't go through 3 CEOs on the consumer side in less than 5 years if everything is going smoothly. So obviously, I think Verizon has acknowledged that there needs to be improvements in the consumer space. That's obvious. But despite those headwinds, most profitable in the industry, Verizon once again. Most customers in the industry, despite the losses, Verizon once again. Most prepaid customers, despite the losses, Verizon once again. Most MVNO agreements and partnerships, Verizon once again. Guys, there's a theme, and it's Verizon. So I'm not saying they're perfect. We all know they're not, but they have more positives than they seem to have negatives as far as assets for them to be able to go to market and be able to win share. That's all I'm saying. Say what you want about the losses. I get all that. I hear you. Still will probably be the most profitable in the first quarter. Definitely more profitable than AT&T, and they grew way more customers than Verizon did. Where's the money to show for that? Growth is extremely expensive, and I do not blame Verizon or any company for that matter for not wanting to go after unprofitable growth. It makes no sense and it's not sustainable, especially in an industry that's extremely capex sensitive. You cannot get mad at a company for saying, "Yo, I spent $20 billion plus dollars."
But it's not true. The revenue didn't grow. So you're saying growth in revenues, but it didn't grow.
But the profitability was still industry leading. So while
their profitability is decreasing.
Agreed.
See, here's
everyone
here's
else's.
what here's what you got.
Everyone else's. AT&T profitability went down too.
Fine. But that's the thing. Verizon is bucking the trend, saying we don't care about growth, yet they're not producing what they're saying they're shooting for.
That's not true.
How the hell are you going to tell me what you're going to do, and then you can't produce it?
That's lying. That's the thing.
Sir.
But that's the thing. They are, Sneed. They're still the most profitable in the industry. Now I understand that they're not growing
anything. The outcome does not change.
Of course it does. It changes it changes your ability to be able to keep up the network spin, which is the product that people are really buying anyway.
See, that there lies the problem, sir. How the hell are you going to build a great network, but you don't want to put people on it? How the hell does that make any sense?
It's not that. It doesn't seem to be that Verizon doesn't want to put people on it, but they don't want to put people on it for free. And if you're not profitable, if you're not, it just doesn't make sense.
Let me make an analogy. You're telling me Verizon would rather close their doors than to sell their network on some other terms than their own.
Did anything that was announced to you today make you believe Verizon's about to close their doors?
No, I just said they're leaving opportunity out there.
But I agree with you there, Sneed. Like, you're right. They are leaving opportunity. There's room for improvement in the customer experience space.
I agree with you. Incredible network with a lot of available capacity. They need users on there. They
got 142 million though, Sneed. That's industry leading. It's not like they don't have the customers. Like, I just went through a whole list.
But they're flat.
Flat on what? Flat on what? Customer growth? Is that what you're talking about?
No, they're flat on revenue. Every metric that Hans is saying, judge me on, he's not hitting.
Well, that's the thing, though, Sneed.
How
They're
the hell
flat.
you gonna tell people? Hold on, bro. How you gonna tell people judge me on this and then you don't hit it, but it's okay?
Because when you compare it to his competition, it's still industry leading.
How does that make any sense?
Nobody in telecommunications is growing profitability right now, Sneed. It's a recession. Nobody. Name a
T-Mobile's
company who
growing
is.
profitability.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
It's not close. Okay,
Yes, they are. I'm not
let me.
comparing
Okay,
T-Mobile. I'm not comparing T-Mobile to Verizon. Let's make sure I put that out there. All right. I'm not comparing. They're two different companies. I definitely trust Verizon long term to continue to generate strong revenues. I'm just saying the one company that's going to be growing free cash flow this year compared to the past is T-Mobile. Verizon is probably going to be flat.
Well, I mean, yeah.
And I'm okay with Verizon being flat. I'm just saying he set the parameters. If I let you pick where the goalposts go and you miss the kick, screw you, dude. You suck.
If you're comparing their profitability to AT&T's and then also to Verizon's, they're not growing profitability at any scale that's better than Verizon's. So if you're comparing T-Mobile to years past, you're right. They're growing profitability. You're absolutely right. The T-Mobile of years past was absolutely horrible. So if you're saying they went from an F to a C, congratulations. But everybody else, being AT&T and Verizon, those are the two companies that have traditionally led in profitability. And out of those two, only one was able to grow profitability in the first 90 days of this year, and that was Verizon, despite losing 127,000 phone customers. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that they don't have opportunities to improve. What I'm saying is that their performance from a financial standpoint is still better than everybody else's by a lot. And even last year, it was better than everybody else's by a lot.
But last year, they relied on fee increases to become more profitable, to save their quarters.
And are they relying on that now in this quarter? Because again,
not this quarter, but do you think they're going to raise fees this year?
I mean, they might, but if they do, would they be any different than T-Mobile, which did the same thing a week ago?
Right. You don't understand, bro. I don't say things like I'm not trying to create devil's advocate for the sake of trying to make another carrier look better. I'm just looking at the numbers that were presented. When the CEO says judge me on this and doesn't produce that, there's a reason to pick it apart.
I don't disagree with
the goalpost and then they kick it and miss. That's their problem.
But that's the thing, though, Sneed. I don't see a miss because if I say if I'm the CEO and I say
they said they were going to turn it around, they haven't.
But that's the thing, though, Sneed.
They said judge us on revenues, and the revenues are down. Now hold on a second.
But the revenues are better than everyone else's.
If the revenue is down because of industry slowdown, we'll learn that from the AT&T and the T-Mobile story, right? So we'll wait for that. You got to remember, I'm waiting for the T-Mobile numbers. I'm going to sort through it and take a look because I want to view the industry. I'm actually waiting for cable numbers in order to me to properly view the industry. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to be patient and wait. But I will tell you that there are probably 2 or 3 things that are keeping Verizon from hitting their potential with their network assets. They're building an incredible network, but they're leaving points off the scoreboard.
I agree 100%. You're right. I acknowledge 1000% there are areas of opportunity for Verizon. The biggest one being customer experience. You're absolutely right about that. All that I'm saying is, although revenue is down for Verizon, it should be. It's a recession. Although revenue is down, they're still industry leading in profitability. That's all I'm saying. So as far as what Hans has said to the street, as far as judging me on profitability, he's not wrong for saying I'm the most profitable. I'm the CEO of the most profitable company in the industry because he is. Because again, free cash flow, we're just talking about the 2 companies that have reported thus far. AT&T put in $1 billion. Verizon put on what? $2.3 billion. Mm-hmm. I mean, all I'm saying is they're the most profitable. They're the best of the industry right now. That's not a bad thing. Despite the headwinds. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Pete.
Don't call it a recession. This is companies jacking up the prices to start a recession.
Well, I'm not sure that's true, but I understand why you said it. I get it. But I mean, everybody wants to throw the recession word around. So if that's the case, it's not like Verizon's the only company that's less as far as revenue is concerned.
If you want real talk, We've been in a recession since 2006.
I don't know,
Long
man.
term.
Like, tech guy, I hear you, man, but I don't see it that way. I don't see anything I'm saying as excuses. I just see it as reporting the facts.
All right, Brian, let's move on to this next thing then.
All right, go ahead. Do your thing, man.
Okay. Verizon confident about fixed wireless access capacity as subs approach 2 million. All right. So now that I think they're at 1.9 million officially, right? I think that it warrants consideration about concerns for the network. Like, people have their concerns about the mobile experience, thinking that all of this growth with fixed wireless access could use up all the available capacity. Now, in my estimation, I think the way that Verizon does it leaves that question to be validated, because they offer a dedicated QCI, a dedicated experience or quality of service, QoS. They have to be able to provide a specific threshold of experience. The T-Mobile way that they do it with network is whatever's left over after mobile usage is what the home internet user gets.
Bingo.
So they have a totally different standard by which the customer has expectations. A T-Mobile home internet customer could literally have trouble with congestion, and T-Mobile would tell them literally, you knew what you were signing up for. Verizon, on the other hand, is trying to meet a standard of excellence with respect to that tier, right? Up to 300 on the downlink, up to 30 on the uplink with respect to the C-band version of the service. I think for the LTE, it's like up to 80 on the down and up to 10 on the up or something. The millimeter wave is a totally different ball game. There's no issues with congestion at all. But the question here is that with growth, people are asking, are we going to have capacity issues? Verizon, especially Hans, was commenting on it today. He said, we've got more spectrum coming on air. We've only had 60 megahertz on average for the last year when it comes to C-band. We're going to get up to 160 megahertz on average. And then he spoke to some of the advanced technologies like carrier aggregation, all the stuff we saw with LTE. Plus, I think the additional flexibility they'll get with like cbrs and some other frequencies, right? They can kind of play with that a little bit. And of course, they can split cells, right? They can add more frequencies to tower sites. If there's a 1 gig tower site, a 10 gig circuit is probably on deck as soon as they go to the, full C-band spectrum allowance. I'm not really all that concerned. I was never really all that concerned about T-Mobile until I saw the mobile growth continuing. That's my concern with T-Mobile. My concern with T-Mobile is their mobile growth. They have so many mobile users that heavily utilize plans like the Max plan and all of that.
Also,
I think those are the concerns. Yeah.
Verizon is managing network quite a bit better than T-Mobile on things like QCI. And their Verizon is more expediently getting frequency they won from the past 2 years on air. If T-Mobile threw up their C-band purchasing, their N77, and get access to the N41 frequencies they purchased, some of these markets would have less of an issue with growth on the mobile side to provide a better fixed wireless experience. But before we continue with that, I'd like to shout out Alex Kicks with a $5 super chat, saying we cannot applaud when companies say they're going to do something and they don't do it. They got to keep up the work.
Appreciate you, Al. Thank you.
So yeah,
here's this image, Pete, of the growth for Verizon, just in case as a reference here.
That's good.
1 year ago, 194,000 net for fixed wireless access, then 256 the following quarter. So they accelerated it. Nice bump. A really nice bump to 342,000 in Q3, 379 Q4, and then 393 Q1 of 23.
I will say one thing about this graph. They're mixing in DSL with Fios.
Yeah, they're not gaining DSL. They're gaining some Fios. Those DSLs are probably losses.
Yeah, that's the reason why it shows 44 and not 60. So I think
Yeah.
they do 67,000 in the first quarter.
Yeah,
For Fios Internet.
67,000.
The
Yep.
easiest solution for these DSL companies is Verizon just sending them a tin can with
We'll send them a cube, right, Pete?
Yeah, send them the cube with the fixed wireless. Tell them the only thing that's changed is the fact you don't need a phone line, and maybe a price cut if they were paying more for DSL than the fixed wireless.
Yeah, send them one of these suckers, man. Make them smile.
Oh,
I got to
yeah.
tell you, if I was a Verizon employee, I certainly would be extremely frustrated at this article because I don't understand why these questions are coming towards Verizon at all when their assets, their portfolio of assets is way better than T-Mobile's. They have fiber. They have fiber to their actual cell sites that they own. They have a dedicated QCI. They have a dedicated QoS. They have a wireline product and Fios that they can use to offload and not have to use their fixed wireless access product at all, particularly in the Northeast, which is the most populated area of the country. So they don't have to go to market with just fixed wireless access like T-Mobile does on a network that they halfway own. They don't even own all their frequency as far as their spectrum, and they don't own any fiber at all to their cell site, and they don't have a fiber to the prem program at all at scale. So with that being said, I'm just trying to figure out how Verizon is going to struggle more than the competition does. Even if they do suffer complications as far as the network is concerned, if they're out competing T-Mobile, then what are we talking about? They still have the best fixed wireless access product out there.
How
So, I mean, I just
markets for Verizon where they're throwing this on millimeter wave, and the slag spectrum for millimeter wave is freaking massive.
exactly like there's no, because T-Mobile didn't take millimeter wave seriously, they don't have nearly as much of it as Verizon does. Because they didn't take CBRS seriously, they don't have any CBRS really.
Hold up.
These are still.
Verizon went with millimeter wave because they were spectrum starved and they were giving it away like stocks at Planet Express. It's cheaper than toilet paper.
So what?
T-Mobile. Hey, I'm just saying they're a different method of deployment. T-Mobile did get some CBRS, but it was nowhere near as large as the other two.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Pete, the reasons why Verizon got millimeter wave are the reasons why they got millimeter wave. But can we apply that same logic to T-Mobile? The only reason they have what they have is because they were allowed to do what the other large companies weren't. AT&T tried to do the same thing and they were denied. So they just got lucky.
Yep.
I mean, what are we talking about?
Some of my pet peeves with the T-Mobile millimeter wave, and I don't think they're innocent at all, is part of the purchase price for Sprint included their 28 plus gigahertz assets, and they haven't deployed those.
They just got to put it at least in these high leverage situations, Pete. Get it in all the MLB stadiums. Get it in all the NFL stadiums, the NBA arenas.
And in the top 20, start with the top 25 cities by population.
Yeah, just start.
And
cost money to do that.
Like, go to the next 25 by population. You do not need millimeter wave in low population suburban or rural. You want it in those cities.
That's true, but I mean, when you don't own any fiber, it costs a lot of money to build millimeter wave because you got to put it on small cells, and every single radio requires a 10 gig front haul. That's expensive when you don't own any fiber. So there's a reason why they haven't deployed it. It's because it costs money. That's why they're raising prices. They don't have any money to do these things.
Yeah, but there's a 10 gig circuit. Take, for example, there's a Walmart that's right across from an apartment complex that has a T-Mobile rooftop site with a 10 gig circuit. They should have a millimeter wave node facing the parking lot of that Walmart.
Will millimeter, will that frequency make it to the ground where the customers are consistently at scale?
Of course,
if it does, then great, do it.
Well,
but you get the most bang for your buck with millimeter wave on small cells.
Yeah, but but they don't have a site like that. So let's address the solution, which would be just get it on the same site where there's not much of a weight requirement or size. Millimeter wave nodes are literally the size of books.
I'll say one more thing about those Walmart parking lots. Those people rocking van life need good internet, so you might get some customers.
I mean, do it then. But again, it still costs money. You still got to open up the pipe. If you're going to have millimeter wave, you still got to open up the pipe. And if you don't own the fiber, that's a lot of money still.
I get it.
I mean, I don't know, man. Maybe I sound crazy tonight. Maybe I don't. Maybe I make sense to somebody out there. But to me, it's no comparison. Everybody's asking about, well, you're going to have enough capacity. Well, I mean, you know what? I think so. Especially when you got.
This all started when Pete was being critical about T-Mobile's build out of millimeter wave or lack thereof. And it's warranted. I think he's right. There should be something more substantial, seeing as they started experimenting with it back in 2019. You know, Verizon literally started, and then they followed right behind, and they did it. Like, I remember when they did the Cleveland market, they built 5 sites and walked away from it.
At the end of the day, if Verizon ends up facing issues with their network as a result of all the expansion and usage, if they have issues, T-Mobile is going to be in much bigger situations, much more negative situations because of their lack of assets. So if it's good enough for T-Mobile, it'll be great for Verizon. If it ends up being bad for T-Mobile, it'll be better for Verizon. Because even if you have constraints on the RF portion because of capacity issues, if you got that stuff hooked up to good backhaul, you're still going to get decent performance. Can T-Mobile say the same? Probably not. Don't own any fiber. Lack of millimeter wave, lack of CBRS. That stuff matters, man.
Yeah, I hope they build out all their assets. And like I said, I want to see something. You know, the one thing I've always been impressed by has always been the fact that even when they had C-band for the last year and a half, Verizon was still putting up millimeter wave nodes. They still were dedicated to their project. They stayed true to themselves. They had a networking philosophy. They have a process, and they stuck to it. You know, the T-Mobile got mid-band and deserted the millimeter wave, and they still haven't come back for it. You know, the AT&T kind of deserted the millimeter wave too, and then they kind of came back, and they're like, all right, we got to do this in airports and stuff. They finally got around to it. You know, AT&T learns the hard way. And I've noticed that with AT&T. They also, kind of made a U-turn on fixed wireless access. They're like, oh, damn, we're going to have sites doing 800, 900 megabits per second. Maybe we should, sell fixed wireless access where the DSL is fading. They're starting to kind of see the light on that. I mean, I'm glad the companies are pivoting. I don't like seeing them stuck and stupid and then making bad decisions that impact consumer experiences and products and services.
Well, one company is known for making more stupid decisions than the other when it comes to networking, and it ain't Verizon. So people kind of get what they pay for. It is what it is in that regard.
I think the densification, I think whichever network has the grid in your market usually leads to a great experience because of redundancy. Obviously quality and engineering matters. You get some good engineering teams, good philosophy, dedication to excellence. I think those things matter as well. I think sometimes it's the budget, right? Sometimes some companies really give a nice budget to certain markets and it makes a difference. It almost makes me think that sometimes there should be unique plans and features to certain markets where networks can be offered at a different capacity, right?
That'd be a good idea.
You see what I'm saying, Pete? Like if they've got certain tools and assets within certain markets that are maturely built, you can do more with plans and services and features.
Oh yeah.
When Hans was talking today about segmentation and regionalizing and localizing, it kind of got the wheels turning a little bit,
Could you see AT&T in Pittsburgh offering more features than say they do in Dallas, Texas, where apparently they're worse built out than they are in Pittsburgh?
Is that true? Dallas is their homeland, bro.
Hey, have you seen the speed tests or the network experience tests where T-Mobile, same device, same place, like mops the floor with AT&T in Dallas?
Dude, look, I've been to most of these cities, and most of the urban core, you can't really distinguish the carriers too much.
Which is a good thing, and everybody should be aiming for that.
It's usually the rural spots where you kind of get the oh, well, in this particular market, this company's the best, and in that particular market, it's that one. Like you get some of that in suburbia and rural.
Go in the middle of nowhere, and you think to yourself, should have brought a Verizon line.
Sure, they might be the ones with the signal, or sometimes it's FirstNet. People tell me in the South, you can't beat AT&T. And
root metrics would beg to differ.
Well,
Really?
AT&T was Southern Bell Company until they bought the name. So
I don't know, man. People tell me AT&T is really good in like Florida, Louisiana.
They are. They definitely are.
Yeah.
But I think Verizon is very competitive in those areas as well. Both of them are, to your point, really, really good though.
Yeah, 81% of the country, I think, lives in urban or like cities. So I guess we're splitting hairs with the minority of people trying to find out which service is best for them. They're the ones that have to do the picking. We could pretty much have whatever we want living in major markets. This is the first time I've heard this one. Coyotes need 5G UC too. Nice. Right.
I mean, I think the suburban and the rural customer, they're being served very well now. So
is that guy talking about coyotes or the coyotes? The ones that bring people over the border.
Oh, you what is it? French, bro? It's coyotes.
I don't know. I'm talking about those guys who do human trafficking.
Ricky says skunk apes need fake 5G.
So they go on AT&T for that Ben 12 5G life?
Oh my God, when Dan sent me that picture, dude. Oh my goodness. I was like, he's like, hey, Sneed, 5G icon, but it says connected to band 12. I'm like, the hell? I'm like, you sure? He's like, yeah. And then he showed me the screenshot of like the band that it was on. And I'm like, all right, run a speed test, get back to the service mode real quick and see what it says. And damn sure it says band 12, dude. So now they're just shamelessly connecting any old band. I don't know how they're doing it.
It's for the dividend. That sending two icons over the grid costs money.
That's a damn shame. I'll be very happy when the whole like dual connectivity thing is no longer a thing, and every cell tower site's been upgraded and modernized with all things NR. At least the 3G has been shut down.
Most places.
What?
Saw some T-Mobile HSPA Plus in Wyoming this weekend.
Oh damn! What was the name of that company that the Sprint used to deal with? Was not Chantel, it was Brookings.
Well, this was rebranded Spectrum from Union Cellular, so but yeah, it was Brookings.
Yeah, see weird stuff. I noticed that Chantel like completely left the wireless game, and then they were going to do fixed wireless access. They bounced on that too, and they're just doing fiber now. It's crazy.
T-Mobile should buy them.
They just started their fiber build. At least give them time to build and then buy them.
What money? Everybody has these T-Mobile ideas like they just Trump with cash. No, they're not. They don't have any money.
You know what they call that, dude? They call that a wish sandwich. You ever heard of it?
Well, yeah. They do have some money.
Where you wish you had some meat to put up on it.
They do have some money. DT could dip into the German Third World Internet Recovery Fund.
Pete, when was the last time DT put money into T-Mobile?
Never. But I was.
They've been taking. They've been taking. They haven't been giving. They never reinvested back into T-Mobile. They reinvested into more shares.
They need to be given back to T-Mobile by buying up 3 fiber companies.
It's ridiculous, man. They took the cash from the failed AT&T merger. They took the majority share after the SoftBank buyout. I mean, what the hell? I don't like Deutsche Telekom, Pete. I really don't. You got a cash cow in T-Mobile, but you won't sink your teeth in. Nice.
Well, shows you what they feel about America. That is what it is.
Well, their company ain't nothing special. They don't even know where they're going or coming or going.
Exactly.
If they're doing wireline, if they're going to do wireless, what country they're going to do it in, how they're going to address their debt load, how they're going to do the fiber to prem. I mean, Deutsche Telekom's a joke.
Yep.
They're not the best company anywhere that they sell services.
Nope.
Not even close. Not even in their home country.
Nope.
They're what, the third best carrier out of 3 or 4 in their country?
Oh, imagine that. Guess who's third best here?
Brian, man, always bringing the zingers.
Depends on the market.
The market is America. They're third in America.
USA is a massive place. I mean, come on. I grew up in a place that was bigger than Liechtenstein.
Yeah, tell Deutsche Telekom to enjoy their Wiener Schnitzel. Stay out of T-Mobile USA business. Hey, they're cooking, man. They're doing their thing, They're more prominent and powerful than they've ever been. This is the best version of T-Mobile we've seen to this point, right?
They had help. Thanks, Donald Trump.
What about Randall Stevenson?
Him too.
What about John Leisure and Marcelo Clore?
But to Randall Stevenson's point, all he was trying to do is what T-Mobile did. He just happened to do it during the wrong administration in the White House.
He should have never went to Obama's desk, man, with that offer.
He should have just waited for Donald Trump to get elected.
Straight up. What up, Dan? Big
Can
shout
you
out to
hear me all
Gelly.
right?
Appreciate the super chat. Yeah, we hear you, Dan.
Perfect.
And aren't they also invested by the German government? I think the German government is part owner of Deutsche Telekom, isn't it?
They are. They're looked it up last night. They own about 34%.
Imagine that.
It's like 17% by the German government, and then there's like a part of it's held by, I think it's a securities firm in Germany, like a German bank. But technically, it's a state.
Yo,
bank,
Robert, I'll tell you right now, if you start with this racism stuff, I'll have you blocked. Don't start any racist crap in my chat.
Yeah,
That's one thing I will not tolerate. We will not tolerate that nonsense here. You'll be blocked and banned. All right, we love all walks of life here.
Yes, we do.
We accept everybody on the panels and the chats. Don't start that nonsense. You'll be blocked. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. So you have officially been warned. And that is the only warning you're going to get. I don't like to block people, but don't do that stuff. Okay, if you're kidding, that's fine, but I can't tell through text. Okay, so tread lightly and be considerate of the things that you're saying in the chat.
By the way, Sneed, don't worry, I like perma-banning people.
I don't want to ban people, Pete. I just want people to have respect for one another, you know?
Yeah, just mutual respect,
Well said, Sneed. Well said. Well said.
Big shout out to Kevin O'Donovan. Super chat. Keep up the amazing work. Thanks, man. Appreciate the support and thanks for the kind words. We're doing it.
What's on the agenda tonight for the topics? I didn't get to see what
man,
you guys
Dan,
are
you are
talking
late, sir.
Apparently I am.
Yeah, we covered a lot of stuff already, so.
All right.
But we talked about the Verizon earnings today. We looked at some of the strengths and the weaknesses. We discussed a little bit about the carrier's positioning with the networking. We talked a little millimeter wave. We looked at some numbers and spending. We talked about that recently. We looked at some satellite connectivity, AT&T and AST.
Ooh, that's fun.
Right? Yeah, it is fun. I would imagine that there are some parts of the Minnesota that could utilize a little bit of sat connectivity at time to time.
Yeah, especially northern Minnesota that's only AT&T roaming on T-Mobile. I told customer care that when I called in the other day. I was like, hey, when I'm up in northern Minnesota, you guys need to work on your connectivity up there.
Which carrier?
T-Mobile.
Anybody else?
Verizon's up there too.
Were they working?
Minnesota's Verizon country. and AT&T
Yeah,
country.
imagine that.
In the Twin Cities and Duluth, T-Mobile's fine. Outside of the Twin Cities and Duluth, it's Verizon or AT&T only.
Does T-Mobile
Imagine that.
roam? Do they have a roaming partner for coverage, calling, texting?
Yes, AT&T is the roaming partner.
Okay. So you're not like SOL or whatever.
No, it just switches to AT&T and it's limited to 3G speed, so it's kind of a pain.
Like 1 meg or less?
Less.
Damn.
I tested them last summer. It was borderline unusable. Good for a call, good for a text, but nothing data-wise.
Well, the next time you visit, see if they've put up some towers, some native stuff.
I will.
At the very least, they could co-locate with like some other carrier. Get them up on the same tower.
Right.
It's either that or you're gonna have to talk to Elon.
I think Elon already's working on it, but I don't know when T-Mobile's coming out with the SAT connectivity.
Hey, Alex, with another super chat. T-Mobile is number 2 in the country because they have more customers than AT&T. Yeah, that's true. I think in total connections, postpaid connections, I think you're right.
Well, yeah, I was talking about network performance. They're number 3 in network performance. T-Mobile is by a lot. That's what I was referring to. But you're right. They do have more customers. There's a lot of crazy people out here, so I get it.
I'm seeing a lot of movement by Dish, though, in my market. They put up 2 sites near me in the last couple weeks.
Big shout out to David. Big shout out to Tito coming through. What you need a source on that, homie? EM Tech, what you need, bruh? We can get you a source. Damn, we lost Zero Cool a while back. We still ain't got him back. All right, we got another super chat from Gellert Entertainment. Appreciate the super chat, sir. It's like that in Possum Kingdom Lake area in Texas. I've never even heard of that place.
Huh.
Anybody ever been to Possum Kingdom Lake?
No.
So I guess you're saying that's another place that T-Mobile doesn't cover. Well, imagine that.
It's a big shout out there. Big surprise.
Yeah, you guys are hard.
I'm very hard because hey man, they're playing with the big
dogs, right?
It's not with the big dogs now, so it ain't like they're not a little carrier. I can compare them to the big guys if I want to.
I hear you, man. That's true. It's facts, man. It's facts. I mean, you want to stay objective, but at the same time, you got national advertising, you're gunslinging, so yeah, you got to be able to put up or shut up, right?
Straight up. That means urban, suburban, rural. You need to be able to cover everybody, and until you do, I'm gonna keep slinging these jokes. It is what it is.
You know what, EM? For a company that I think its best free cash flow year, I think, was $2.5 billion. I think it's going to be tough to get to 13. That's going to be one hell of a leap.
Yeah, well, they're going to try.
I would be surprised if they got to it, but who knows? Maybe they're the ones that control their financials, so maybe they know something. Obviously, I don't. I don't control their financials. I don't see their books.
I mean, they think they're as good as Verizon now. That's why they're selling at the same price Verizon is. They think they're just as good. We'll see what the consumer thinks. They're not even close. They're not even close, but their price plans say they are.
I think the consumer thinks they are, but they're being misled.
Like I say, a lot of crazy people out here, man.
Hey Dan, can I ask you something?
Yes.
Okay, so Verizon increased or created some like fee last year. I don't know what the correct or proper terminology would be when they did the telco recovery fee. I think that was an increase, and then there was like an economic adjustment fee. Right. Okay, so they did that twice, right? But they didn't touch the rate plans, right? So Verizon hasn't changed their rate plans or increased them since 2019. Mm-hmm. Same thing with AT&T. AT&T has taken stuff away, like Spotify and HBO Max and stuff, but they haven't touched the rate plans themselves, the modern ones. Verizon hasn't either. T-Mobile was the first company to raise pricing on new rate plans. Do you find that it was ironic that they did that? Nope. They were the first company out of all three.
They did it as soon as they were legally allowed to.
Right. That's what I was going to say is that they would have done it sooner, but the U.S. government said they couldn't because of the merger agreement, the 3-year merger agreement.
That's what I'm saying, man. The free ride is over.
They would have done it earlier, but their hands were tied.
Yep.
So the uncarrier is gone. That we know. They're gone.
Another super chat from Gellert. $2. He said, look it up on Google Maps. Beautiful area. All right, man. I'll check it out. What was it called? Possum Lake?
I find it very ironic that people think that T-Mobile's the Un-carrier when they're doing very Un-carrier notness with raising prices and bringing back 2-year contracts and what else? What else are they doing?
I knew
Fees?
the new T-Mobile company was going to be different when I asked Pete, and he said, "Yeah, they're going to be different," because Pete knew something about the change in CEO was going to make a difference. You know,
I mean,
Pete, we called it like 4 years ago. Remember, even before the merger was cleared, I said, "Yo, is the new T-Mobile company going to be the same old as the old one?" And then, you know, John Leisure came into the fold, and we were like, "Oh, John's gone."
No.
Right.
Can we just be honest?
I just hate when they do recarrier announcements. I want the uncarrier announcements.
None of this is new. They're just recycling old tricks.
Well, let's be honest. Let's be honest, though. If John Ledger was still the CEO of T-Mobile, they'd still be raising prices right now.
You think so?
He's not some pro-consumer. I'll do everything for you guys at the expense of my company. That's not who he's a former AT&T guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's right about that.
Yeah, he's not. He would have raised prices too. Like, you do what you got to do to grow at all costs, but eventually that has to stop. If you want to compete, you cannot compete with AT&T and Verizon spending $9 billion, $10 billion on your network. You have to find a way to increase CapEx. And the only way to do that is to stop with the free stuff and raise prices. And that's what they're doing right now. And now that they're doing that, now they're competing with the other two guys.
Hey, big shout out to Jose. Thank you for the coffees, Jose. Appreciate you. Go ahead, Brian.
I predict within the next year, you'll see an actual rate increase from Verizon and or AT&T. And as they should. I mean, let's be honest. If I'm Verizon, you slapping me in my face, you're going to charge the same thing as me, and I know I have a better product? Yeah, let me go ahead and offer another plan, because that's ridiculous. Now you're insulting me, because I know I got a better product than you do, and so does T-Mobile. They know it too. But they have explicitly said to America, we believe you're stupid enough to pay me the same price as you'll pay Verizon. So I'm going to take advantage of that, and I'm going to charge the same thing. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, big shout out to Jose. Thank you for this, for the coffees, man. Appreciate it. Trace Cafes for the homie. Thank you, man.
I think you forget that the average consumer does not know the difference between N41 and N71 and does not understand anything about 5G. They don't understand anything about how coverage works.
I think you're right.
The cell phone industry.
I think you're right, but I think if you ask 10 people who has a better network, Verizon or T-Mobile, I think let's say 6 out of 10 will say Verizon has the better network. Most people are with T-Mobile, not because of anything outside of price being number one, first and foremost in their minds. If they could afford Verizon, in their minds at least, if they could afford Verizon, they probably would be on Verizon or AT&T.
Well, Verizon has an opportunity to change any network concern narratives. Now they got Spectrum. They just have to upgrade all their sites.
True. And they will. And as soon as they do, that just opens up the ability for them to be able to scale home broadband even more.
Look, I ain't going to lie, man. When I used to use the AT&T network back in the day, I used to say, you know, this is all right, but it ain't that great. But then post Band 14 and FirstNet, I mean, it was like a breath of fresh air got blew into that network. It became fully modernized, upgraded, more spectrum on air, more bands. It was a game changer for them. Their network was very Verizon-like here in Ohio.
For now.
Yeah.
I
mean, they're growing and stuff. I mean, they've got spectrum. They got to go back up to tower sites and put up the mid-band.
I mean, they're working on it. I will tell you that they're finally working on it in my county. They just put up the C-band site in my county. They haven't turned it on yet, but I mean, there's probably now 6, 7, 8 sites that are C-band in my area, in my city. Countywide, probably, I don't know, 20 to 50, but they're hard to find.
Let me be more specific. To your point, Tech Guy, 32. I'm not saying that Verizon should raise their rates on all their plans. What I'm saying is they should offer a new plan that's more expensive, just like T-Mobile did, and throw in everything. Make that plan industry leading in every way imaginable, and charge, for example, $100. Why not? You know you got the network. You know you have the brand. Why not? Again, the cheapest carrier in the country was bold enough to charge the same thing as the most expensive carrier, knowing they have an inferior product. If I'm the most expensive carrier with the better network, why would I let that stand pat for but so long? Well, I mean, let's be honest, guys. It's business. We're not. It's not friends. It's business. There's no way I let that stand for long. That is a bold move by T-Mobile. Bold move. You look at that route metrics map. They don't win anywhere.
I think they're going to get away with it, though.
All right, so Alex, if the average person doesn't care about 5G, that's the super chat from Al. Appreciate it. If the average person doesn't care about 5G, then why is all the marketing about 5G?
Exactly.
It feels like it's a disconnect. Like you're trying to make them care about 5G because, like, that's the branding, that's the marketing, and the advertising we see from all three. It's not specific to a one carrier, right? We got one carrier saying they have the most and the best, but they're all pushing the 5G narrative. Go ahead.
Sneed, it's because they want to push that new car smell. They want to be like, we're with it, yo, or whatever the hell these kids say.
Yeah, all the kids.
I don't know what the kids say.
I think they say vibes. That's one of their favorite words.
What the hell does that mean?
I don't know. I hear it all the time. I hear vibes. I hear, what's another one that I hear?
Are your students in gangs?
No, dude. They're not. I don't know, man. Sometimes I hear certain words, and then sometimes they use words like improperly. Like they have different meaning to the words. Like we used to use those words, and we didn't use them in that way. But
I mean, I try to only go by dictionary definition and then connotation. But I'm old, and I was born old.
Big shout out to Pete Fox, man. He got me 5 coffees, man. Thank you so very much. That's huge support, man. Pete, always a big supporter of the show and supporting the channel. Thank you.
I think he's a bigger supporter than I am.
I don't think anybody's a bigger supporter than you, Pete. I mean, very few are able to facilitate the things that, you've been able to support the channel with.
Should we give a content spoiler for something I helped out with?
Yeah, sure.
Have any of you been wondering what the T-Mobile business home internet is like? Sneed got a business router and is doing some tests.
We'll be doing it.
Right?
Yeah.
How's it working?
I it's in the box. I got to unbox it. I'm going to film that. And then I probably won't do a setup video because I've already done the T-Mobile home internet setup video.
It's the same setup. Don't bother with that one.
Yeah, so I'm not going to bother with that. But I will probably within 24 or 48 hours of unboxing it, probably run my first speed test, kind of check out the Wi-Fi range, check out the peak speeds, the off-peak speeds. I want to do some streaming testing and stuff like that. But really what I want to see is it going to be able to handle 2 or 3 devices? I think that's very typical of what these home routers are designed for, right? Support a few connected devices. So probably a TV, the desktop, or laptop or something, iPad, and just see how it performs during different times of the day. And, they've done an upgrade on my tower site since the last time I tested the 5G home internet.
How's the T-Mobile you've been messaging me on going?
It's been getting better, actually. The home site's been performing pretty well for the downlink throughput. The trouble's been the uplink. I'm getting like 700 down off peak and like 11 up. It's weird.
They got to bust in some aggregation with the N77 on that one, or
I just don't understand. Like, why don't they give me the N71 for the uplink like they used to a few months ago? I was getting like 20 or 30 up.
How about N25? That would give you a better uplink.
Yeah, if it's like 20 megahertz, I'll take it.
Oh, yeah.
If it's going to be a 10 megahertz slice, then just leave me on the N71 and give me a better quality signal.
And disclaimer: the T-Mobile line he is using, I provide.
Oh, that's cool, Pete. That's what's up, man.
Yeah, Pete's a big time major supporter of the channel. Pete's been Pete, you've been around since like the first vids, the first live streams. He's been around a long time, and I hope a lot of you ride with me for the long term. Pete's been there since day one.
I'm in it to win it, Sneed. I'm in it to win it. Don't forget about what we talked about earlier with the business, man.
Facts. That's going to be tremendous. Oh, by the way, I thought of something. You guys let me know if it's something you want me to do. Y'all been buying me coffees. Should I go to a coffee shop and just buy coffee and just live stream from there and do like a live Q&A from the coffee bar?
That would actually be kind of cool, yo.
That would be
kind of cool, man. That would be cool.
Especially if it's a really legit coffee house, not like Starbucks. Talking like
I was thinking about going like a hole in the wall coffee spot, bro. Like
that's what I'm saying.
Like, local art and stuff from local artists, and go to like something trendy or something.
Right. Yo, Alex, you got to stop with the cap, man. People definitely care about 5G, man. You got to stop with the cap. People definitely care
about 5G.
The reason why I say that.
What does cap mean?
Cap means lies.
You don't know what that means, Bearded Pete? It's because the young generation talks another language.
Freaking Zoomers.
No,
the Zoomers, yes.
The reason why I say that, though, is because people vote with their pockets, man. Like, I mean, the expansion has been way faster with 5G even than it was with LTE. So people definitely care.
If someone wants me to learn a new meaning for a word, they're going to have to buy me 5 coffees.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yo, Pete, I got you on 5 coffees, bro. That's automatic. That's off the rip, man.
But yeah.
All right, looks like we have a live stream idea. We're gonna do the coffee shop live stream. Do some speed testing while we're there.
Would love that. Coffee is life, Sneed.
It really is, man. I mean, there's food. I tell you? It's important. Water is important, but coffee's like right up there.
It is. I have barista experience.
Coffee is food and water.
I've worked at 3 different coffee houses, so I have experience.
All right, so Dan, hear me out on this, man.
Yes.
When it comes to coffee, I want a medium roast.
Yup.
And I just want it black.
I hear you. There's nothing better than just it's got to be the right
brewed.
kind.
I want it fresh brewed. I just fresh grounds.
Yep.
Just black.
Man, Sneed got one of them
cold brew black coffee with a medium roast.
If it's the right kind of coffee, black coffee is good. Now, if it's just a Folgers, no, can't do that. No, it's got to be like single origin Ethiopian medium roast from like a ethically sourced coffee house roastery. That's like the epitome of good coffee.
Oh damn! EM Tech just bought me 5 coffees. Damn, son.
Oh man.
All right,
that's awesome.
This is what I'm talking about, man. You guys are so nice, man. Thank you. Appreciate you supporting. Oh, this one's for Pete. Dude, we got you, Pete. We got you 5 coffees. Yeah.
There you go.
By the way, the Buy Me the Coffee link is actually my my marquee under Bearded Dragon.
Okay.
Hey, can we get Pete's can we get Pete's Buy Me a Coffee link, moderators? Can we get that in there? If anybody wants to get Pete coffee, they could do it that way.
All right.
Pete the mod beat you to it.
Mm-hmm. Pete B, one of the best mods out there. # mod squad.
Like I said,
I'll do a coffee.
I don't mind permabanning. But you're all tame, so you're good.
I told you, Sneed, that I'm trying out the T-Mobile Home Internet right now. Did I?
How goes it, sir?
It's better than at times. It has actually been better than CenturyLink.
I have red beard. I have had white coffee. It's different.
I have too.
It is different. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. All right, so Dan, let me ask you a few things about your home internet experience.
Okay.
What is the peak downlink average?
Average?
During peak times. What is the downlink average?
What time are we talking about? Are we talking like noon, 5 o'clock? What are we talking
Well,
about?
so like mobile peak would be anything after like 3 p.m. up until about 6 p.m.
I'd say it's over 100. It's between 100 and 200 download with between 5 and 10. The upload is kind of iffy.
Who's this?
T-Mobile Home Internet. The
Oh,
upload's kind of iffy right now, but
well, that's
uh,
not bad.
but it is aggregating with N71. I think I have the ARC. I have the black Arcadian router, so it's not the Nokia trash can or
Okay,
the
what's
other
the
one.
uplink during those times?
Say it's between 5 up and 10 up. It's not consistent.
Do you have any type of inconsistencies like buffering video playback or trouble with downloading apps or watching movies, TV, files, sharing, anything you got to do on your connections?
No major issues. Honestly, I have about 6 or 7 devices hooked up to it at all times, and it seems to work everything I need it to. I've got a smart TV, I got a couple phones, I got a couple laptops. Um, that's about it, and it handles it pretty well.
So
I
it
haven't had a
holds up
lot
during
any.
peak times.
Yes, it does. Yes,
Okay.
it does.
Boo.
I'm just saying how it is.
Does it leave
I'm
anything to be does it leave anything to be desired?
It does at times. I will say that the Los Red hotspot sometimes outperforms T-Mobile in terms of speeds and upload. So if I tried the Verizon Home Internet, I'm sure Verizon Home Internet would be better. That's
Oof.
the next one I'm going to try. It's Verizon Home Internet.
Mr. Anonymous, what do you guys think is T-Mobile's goal with buying Mint Mobile? Do you think they'll change the business model, like monthly plans instead? Question number one, answer in my opinion. What do you guys think is T-Mobile's goal? It was to keep Verizon from buying Mint Mobile. That was the goal. You think they'll change the business model? Well, probably not. Monthly plans, maybe. I don't know. Business model probably won't change, but I think they just bought it so the Verizon wouldn't buy it.
If you change, or I should say, if you offer a monthly plan through Mint, it just makes them like the rest of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So then
Keep
it
it the way.
becomes, then it
Yeah.
becomes like, whatever. But I mean, you could add that. I mean, just don't get rid of the bundle pricing because you can offer it a better rate.
Yeah, I think
Probably end
Mint
up
Mobile's
raising the monthly fee by like a few bucks.
Yeah, Mint Mobile's business model is pretty solid. They're doing pretty well, and they're being marketed really well. I don't think they'll touch those things, at least not for the first, maybe year or two that they own the asset. But that was the biggest thing. I think they just wanted to keep it from Brad.
Is it Wootage or what? Woofage 84? I can't tell if that's a T or an F, but to shoot you straight, man, I disagree. I think T-Mobile will take as many users as possible.
It's
I'm with Sneed. I'm definitely with Sneed. So in my area, they take as many users as they can. In the Twin Cities is heavily T-Mobile. Not congested, but we have a lot of T-Mobile Sprint customers, and they take as many as they can get.
Yeah, I don't think any carrier is turning business away. Yeah, I don't agree with that, man.
In my area, it's T-Mobile and Verizon hold the most.
Well, in a business where everything is about scale,
yeah,
why would you turn anyone away?
no.
If it's $50 or $75 or whatever.
EM Tech, I agree. The return rate on T-Mobile is definitely worse than on Verizon.
Like 50-50?
They're talking about like the returns that they're getting on their home internet service.
Right.
The amount of people who are drunk. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
My question would be, is it because the people really shouldn't have been getting the service to begin with? Like they fibbed the numbers on the address?
I mean, that could be. Yeah, it could be.
I mean, if I'm within a mile of a cell site that's been upgraded with a 10 gig circuit and all of the frequencies, I'm trying if I got DSL.
Right.
I'm trying if I got bad cable.
That's my situation. We got VDSL through CenturyLink, and
No.
It went down for 24 hours. So it was like, forget this. I'm going to try T-Mobile Home Internet and see if I can, have a better experience.
Boo.
It's awful. I hate DSL. DSL sucks.
Damn,
Hey.
thanks, Green. Appreciate it.
Yep, $20 from Green 9227 saying, I got a Pixel 7 to try it out in the cellular modem. In my experience, has been trash compared to the Qualcomm modem on my iPhone. Have you experienced this on the Pixel Net not connecting to AT&T or Verizon midband at all? Could I try and translate that one, Sneed?
My God.
Yeah.
So Green picked up a Pixel 7 to try out the modem capabilities because it's a Exynos. And in his experience, it's been trash when compared to the Qualcomm on a non-disclosed iPhone model. Sneed, have you experienced the modem being trash on the Pixel compared to the Qualcomm's and not connecting to either the AT&T or Verizon midband?
I can't comment on the AT&T, but I have a Pixel 7 with a T-Mobile SIM, and I have a Pixel 7 Pro with a Verizon SIM. And I would say 70% of the time, like I could run 100 speed tests, and the Pixel 7 Pro on Verizon will have better throughput and signal quality than the iPhone 14 Pro Max, about 75% of the time, at least on the downlink. On the uplink side, it's even worse. The Pixel performs about 90% of the time better with more uplink capacity. And I Green, you're such a big time supporter of the channel. I swear I will do a live stream for you, and I will drive for 10 miles. We can change cell sites 5 times, 6 times, and I will show you how the Pixel outperforms the iPhone 70 to 90% of the time in downlink and uplink throughput in my market. Now, the reason I say in my market is because, for example, Carlos swears in his experience to the Ericsson gear. And I believe him because he puts it out on video. There's receipts. I don't argue with receipts. So, I could share my experiences with Samsung radio gear. The Pixel actually seems to thrive on that radio gear. So that's,
My experience with T-Mobile and Verizon with Pixel, that thing clings to midband like it's dying.
I mean, I have no problems connecting to midband. Sometimes there's moments where the Pixel still holds on to 5G UW and the iPhone gave it up. Sometimes
I
the
will
iPhone grabs
disagree.
it first. Sometimes the iPhone grabs
I
it
will
first.
disagree. I'm on 16.4. My phone is defaulting to midband on all the carriers.
I've found with Verizon, to the service's detriment, it will hold on to 177 too long.
Does it mess up the uplink?
Yeah, but I'm not uploading on Verizon.
So what software are you running on? Because I'm on SA N41 like constantly.
Oh, I'm speaking to N77.
All right. Well, when it comes to Visible, which I'm using on my iPhone, it does tend to default to LTE unless it needs the capacity.
Is
Then
this
it'll
real
default.
life? Is this real life? Alex, another super chat. Thank you. He said, you cancel your Magenta MAX free line, your bill goes up by $35. Automatically, you have to keep the free line. So there you guys have it. Do not cancel your free line on T-Mobile. Keep that sucker. What?
Hey,
Brian, can I get a boo on that?
To monetize their network.
I can confirm. So they do weird billing things. So like a lot of times when I was in customer service, the customer would save money by keeping their free line.
Brian, can I get a boo of some
promotions?
Can you chime in some sound effects? No, we're not going to get any boos out of Brian. All right, fine.
I guess he's gone.
Well, it was a good show. It was a good show. Thank you to all of you guys for the super chats, the coffees. Pete, I got to send you over 5 coffees from EM Tech. Don't forget.
EM Tech's going to have to teach me a Zoomer meeting.
The Zoomer meeting.
Big shout out to Dan, the Bearded Dragon. Brian, thanks for coming on. Zero Cool was here earlier. B was here for a minute. I think that's really it for the guests. All the coffees, all the likes and the shares. For those of you that engage with the content, thank you. That support the channel, the patron supporters, the YouTube members, thank you guys. I got more content releasing tomorrow. I always put early access content, weekly exclusive content. Just so you guys are aware, I will be taking down this live stream, doing some edits, and then re-releasing it. Patrons and YouTube members will get the ad-free version of this podcast as a perk to their support, so they can enjoy that. You'll see the post for those.
Need two things.
Yeah.
One, Green is wondering if we think his modem's defective.
It's possible. You definitely can't cancel that out as a possibility.
Also, Google is really good at warrantying those things out, so should reach out to their chat. Philippine agents are fine. Or hell, you can chat them in the support app because you're a Pixel user.
Yeah, big shout out to Two Phones for Free. He's got new content dropping on his channel. Everybody go subscribe to the homie.
Also, Sneed, that last podcast. Bearded Dragon story time. Think you could cut that and send it to me?
Yeah, just give me the timestamp.
I'll have to find it, but yeah, I'll send it.
That's all I need. Just give me the timestamp. I got you. I'll make you the short.
All right.
I'll snip it out and give it to you. All right, cool. Anything else for the go to the order, folks?
No, I think we're good.
Y'all the goats. Hashtag goat milk. Hashtag
I
goat
love goat milk, man.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you guys on the next edition. Peace.
Peace.